Alright, this is lesson 7-3, talking about congruent polygons. Today mostly we're going to be working with triangles and proving and showing how they are congruent. Remember, congruent means that they are the same size and shape. So take a look at these two triangles. You notice that there's a lot of things happening besides just the shape. I've got different names for my vertex, or the angles right here, and I've got these dashes and lines everywhere. Those are actually helpful for me when I'm trying to prove that these shapes are congruent. So when I'm looking at these triangles, I know that they are the same measure depending if I have a arc or a dash. So take a look. Angle T has a single arc next to it, and angle J has a single arc next to it. And so what those arcs tell me is that these are the same measure. R and K also have arcs next to them. Notice though that they have two arcs, meaning these two angles, R and K, are congruent, but they are a different measure than angles T and J. So R and K are congruent and T and J are congruent. I can write that like this. Angle T is equal or congruent to angle J. And I'd also say that angle R is congruent to angle K. So that means the equal sign with the squiggle over it means congruent. So I'm looking to match up the number of arcs with the angles. Now the same thing for the dash marks. Take a look. Line segment TR has one dash in it. Line segment JK, and I'm not just kidding, has a single dash in it. And so that means these two lines are equal measures. Likewise, look at TS and JL. Both have these three dashes in them, meaning that line segment TS is congruent to line segment JL. Notice that I'm labeling my measurements here. TS is a line segment, so it has a line under it, or excuse me, over it. And remember, before I used an angle symbol before my letters. That's important. Anyway, so they both have three dashes, so that means they're equal to one another. Now, this line and this line are equal, but this line and this line are not equal. Even though they both have dash marks, they have a different amount of dash marks, meaning that they have a different measure. However, I can write angle TR is congruent to, or excuse me, line segment TR is congruent to line segment JK. Ultimately, what I would want to be able to do is say, overall, are these triangles equal to one another? And yes, they are, and we'll get into that in just a second, but I would say a triangle TRS is congruent to triangle JKL. Now, not only did I label these as triangles, it's important that I have my letters in the same direction. What I mean is I went from TRS, I went up and then over to make my triangle with my letters. And I need to do the same thing over here, because essentially what I'm trying to do is match up T and J, R and K, S and L. Alright. Tune back in for my explanation on the different ways to show how triangles are congruent when all of these are not completely filled.